Welcome to Season 3 of the Take the Leap podcast. We want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us.
Whether you're just starting to tune in or you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you can expect to hear from entrepreneurs in all stages of their journey, how they got to where they are, and all the mistakes and victories they've had along the way.
We're excited to share new guests and have some returning folks from our first 2 seasons. Thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back, everyone, to this Take the Leap podcast. We're really excited for our guest today, Julie Stair, who is the founder of Gemini Financial Wellness and Moxie and Might Money Coaching, where she helps professional single mothers take control of their finances with clarity, confidence, and a little bit of sparkle. As a single mom herself, Julie understands the unique challenges of balancing career, family, and money, and she brings both expertise and empathy to every coaching relationship. Drawing on her background in customer service management and her own journey of resilience, Julie empowers women to move from financial stress to financial strength. She believes that money doesn't have to feel overwhelming or boring. It can actually be fun, freeing, and even a little magical when you approach it with the right tools and mindset. Welcome, Julie. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. And we're going to kick off with our first question that we always ask everybody, which is, what's your Take the Leap story? How did you get into what you're doing?
So, I mean, that's really a very, very long story, but I'll try to condense it as much as I can. But me and my ex-husband started on this journey actually many years ago. And when we first got married, we didn't have kids, and we didn't think we were going to have kids. So we bought a house in a failing school district. And a couple years down the road, we thought, you know what, maybe we should have a kid. And so we did. And then it got to her point where she was going to go to school. And we're like, oh gosh, we can't, we need to get her in a good school district. And so, we were horrible with our money. We had lots of debt, and, we're just spending like we were in Congress. And so
I love that.
I love that.
And so, we found Dave Ramsey. And so we did Ramsey Dave-ish, but we did manage to get out of debt, and we managed to buy a house in a good school district, which was amazing. And then, but then the banks told us that we could carry 2 mortgages. They said, yes, you can carry 2 mortgages. So we bought the house and then kept the old one to fix up and sell. And we could not carry 2 mortgages. So we went back into debt because we, couldn't afford to both payments and upkeep. So we went back into debt. And then a couple years later, my marriage fell apart. And so in getting the divorce, I had to take away, not only when I left did I have less than half of the income, but I also had to take half of that debt with me. Yeah.
Brutal.
And so, so it's hard. And, but throughout that whole journey, getting out of debt, getting back into debt, and now I'm, digging myself back out of debt again. And, along that journey, I would share my experiences with friends and family, and they would, say, well, I'd say I paid off a credit card, and they'd be like, well, how did you do it? And so, and like the process for me is rewarding and amazing. And so I decided that, Dave Ramsey trains coaches. I'm not a Dave Ramsey coach. I followed a different path because I don't believe getting out of debt or managing your money is a one size fits all proposition. But I, started looking into it, and I decided I want to be a money coach. I just think helping people, especially single mothers, is I'm really passionate about it. And so last November, my job was getting very toxic, and I had some money saved. So I quit with no job lined up, and I decided to start my business. And that's where I am today.
Okay.
That's really awesome. I love that. I mean, a couple things that I love. One, I love that you were like, okay, I've had it. I'm just gonna do it, and you just went all in. I feel like a lot of people have a really hard time taking that leap, so to speak, because there's a lot of fear, a lot of, okay, well, what happens next? And you were just like, all right, I've had it. I'm doing it. I'm going for it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I absolutely love
Absolutely.
that. I love that so much. Um, and yeah, your story, I definitely resonate with a lot of the things that you said. And I love what you said about, like it's not a one size fits all solution, which is kind of the main problem I have with a lot of like the Dave Ramseys of the world, people who coach about money is, we all come from different backgrounds, we all have different needs, and also you see a lot of men in those positions, and I just like, I'm sorry, but their lives are just a lot different, and
Right.
their needs are a lot different, so I feel like it's just really refreshing to hear you say a lot of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So knowing what you know now, and remind me, how long ago was it that you started your business?
It was
Did you
about
say
10 months ago.
10
10
months.
months ago? Wow! Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I
Well,
know. Woo.
congrats.
Thank
Congrats.
you. Thank you.
Well, I know it hasn't been a super long time, or maybe it's felt like 1,000 years for you. I don't know. But knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself 10 months ago when you took that leap?
Um, Gosh. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I might go back and do differently. Um, but I think the main thing I would say is I would have researched marketing a bit more before I left my job.
Yeah.
Because I
Okay.
kind of threw my eggs all into one type of marketing basket. And I mean, and although that is a good type of basket, it's not the end all be all, and you need the other forms of marketing. And just training myself a little more and learning a little more about that before I jumped in um, would have been good, I think.
As
That's
both of
fair.
us are marketers, we completely understand. And also, I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes we have like a leg up on other business owners because we have that
Oh,
background
yeah,
as well.
absolutely,
Absolutely. Yeah, I
absolutely.
feel like I have these conversations with clients a lot of they're like, I went out on my own because I'm really good at this thing, but I didn't really know about all the other sides of business, especially marketing. But I figured I'd just figure it out. And like most of the time you do, but yeah, it does take a little bit of time and extra effort. And just kind of like what you said, like marketing also isn't a one size fits all type of situation. Like it's totally dependent upon the business, the person running it, the bandwidth you have, the energy you have to do marketing activities. um it's different for everybody, so that's a really good
Absolutely.
reminder.
Yes.
And good advice for people too who are wanting to take that jump, like what are some things I can do now in preparation for
Yeah. Yeah. That's
starting my
actually,
own business.
yeah. And when I was about 6 months in, I was asked to speak at a networking meeting, and and what they do at these network at this specific group is the speaker doesn't talk about their business. They talk about something that can help other people grow their businesses. And that was exactly what my whole presentation was on, was what what went wrong in the beginning and what would I do
Mhm.
differently. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's why we love having this podcast too, is just to let other people who are either budding entrepreneurs or recent entrepreneurs know that like nobody does it all right the first time. We
Right.
all have different mistakes,
No.
and that's the best thing we can do is just kind of share our experiences so that nobody else has to go through the same thing that we went through as well.
Definitely.
Um, yeah, I have the last kind of one of our standard questions before we jump into the hot seat questions. And you kind of revealed it in the beginning of your answer, but if you want to add anything to that, what is your why? Why do you choose to be an entrepreneur and help folks in the way that you do?
So, there's really a few reasons, but the main one is I want to give my daughter a good life. I want her to see, what a woman can do on her own. And I want her to see women helping other women. And, I want to, eventually be able to do things with her, to have the freedom. And that's the biggest part of it right there, is the freedom to, make a living helping people while also being able to give my daughter experiences and time.
I love that. That's so
I love
great.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can really relate to that as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the older they get, it's, the more you realize that, that time is just going so fast.
Yeah.
So just, being able to give them time is the best thing that you can give them,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
instead of
love that.
sitting tied to a desk for 8 hours a day working for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And usually not making that much money
Right.
either,
Right.
It's not even worth
Absolutely.
it.
Exactly.
Oh, well, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your story. Well, we're going to jump into the hot seat questions now, which they're just kind of fun, random questions for you. So,
Sure.
all of them are pretty random. We're just going to kind of jump in, but the first one is, what is the best and or worst advice you've received in your career?
Oh, best and or worst. I think, I think the worst advice I got was that networking is the best marketing that you can do.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because, like, not networking is important. It's very important, but it's a long game, because you want to get to know who you're sending business to, and you need to really understand what they do. And so that goes back to that marketing thing. Just making sure that you're doing all the marketing things, and because that's kind of what I did. I threw all my eggs into the networking basket, because somebody told me that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and what you don't realize sometimes too is a lot of these networking groups, they are not filled with business owners and solopreneurs. They're filled
Yeah.
with salespeople, where their only job is to get a lead, get a referral, make a
Mhm.
commission off of something. And so, yeah, I've definitely found that in certain groups that I've been a part of. And they're like, well, why can't you have like 10 different one-to-one calls? I'm like, because I'm working with clients, and I'm don't have that time
Right.
available in that way,
Yes.
because I'm going to go for the money instead of go for the person who I might not talk to after this 1 30-minute conversation.
Yes,
So,
yes, and
yeah.
they're like, "Have one-to-ones with everyone," and so I filled my first 3 months with back-to-back
Mhm.
one-to-ones, and, and I've made some really good friends, and, I made some, really good potential referral partners, but, on the flip side of it, I wasted a lot of time on dead-end one-to-ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And some people do get really I've had it before where I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to decline meeting with you because I don't find that we would have synergies, or you don't serve the same folks as me, or like I've had people who are like real estate agents, or people who like do office cleaning, and I'm like, we're not in the same bucket of people.
Exactly,
We're not meeting the same people that have the same needs.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. And I think too, you kind of already said this, but like, networking is it for a long game, and it's
mhm.
it's about building relationships. And I think a lot of people treat networking as like a what can I get from you, but to do it, and to do it correctly, and to do it well, that's not what it's about at all. It's about building relationships with people.
Yeah,
And building relationships, unfortunately, is not an overnight return on investment, because you're also not really viewing your relationships with people as a return on investment, right?
right.
So like, it takes time. I guess. And it's a really good supplement, and it's a really good way to practice talking about yourself and what you do. And it's a really good way to get advice and learn what other people are doing. But yeah, you're right. That's actually a really interesting perspective. So
Yeah,
thanks for sharing that.
of course.
Awesome. All right, total pivot with my next question. But I'm curious, are there any go-to strategies or frameworks that you recommend to your coaching clients that you're working with?
Yes. So we always start with where they're at. I mean, we always have to meet them where they're at. And, and as you probably know, it's important to, wow, why can't I even think of the right word? To, clarify or make sure that the person is the right fit for me and
Mhm.
I'm the right fit for them.
Yeah.
And so, we always start there. And then the basic framework is for anybody would be to, get a budget down to the last dollar of your income and review your last few months of expenses so that you don't forget to put anything in that budget that you're doing. And then the first thing that we always focus on is building an emergency fund, whether
Mm.
that be $500 or $1,000. Um, I hope she won't mind me saying this, but I have a client who would take out like a payday type loan. She was regularly taking them out and paying them back, taking them out, paying them back. And we had to kind of, because she kept saying, well, I need to put this money towards my debt. And I'm like, no, this money you need to put in your emergency fund so that when you have an emergency, you don't have to keep relying on those payday loans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, that really, and that's a lot of what I do is mindset work with my clients, because that's really where a lot of people's money troubles start, is
Mhm.
mindset and things that you've just been ingrained in you. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good point. We all have our own relationships with money.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Tori already knows this. I watch a lot of the Real Housewives TV show because I find it hilarious and funny. But I've been watching the Real Housewives with Dallas, and one of the women on there, she's got a trust fund and has always been taken care of by her family. And this woman is making, hundreds of thousands of dollars and still lives paycheck to paycheck and still spends all the money she has, because she knows that she has a family trust that's going to bail her out. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and it's not that she didn't grow up, she's always had money growing up. So, like, I think that that's another really important mindset shift. Like, it doesn't matter if you were quote unquote poor or lower income, or if you were the richest of the rich people. Like, people can have that relationship with money. It doesn't necessarily have to do with your socioeconomic status. It has to do almost with like your impulse control and like, can you hold off from
Yeah.
getting that thing that
Yeah.
you want and save for it instead of putting it on a credit card, instead of, borrowing money from yourself later, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, kind of similar, but if you could give people, like, if you could only give like one piece of advice to anyone in any financial situation, like, what would be like the one thing you would tell people to start with?
Hmm. I mean, I think I just have to go back to the previous answer, is that emergency fund.
The emergency fund.
Because that is what, if you don't have an emergency fund, that is what's going to derail your journey every single time.
Yeah.
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 That's from experience. Yes.
Yes. Because yes, you might pay off this credit card, but then you have an emergency and you don't have an emergency fund, then you're just going to put it right back on that
Put it
credit
right
card
back.
and go right back
Hmm.
into debt.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and and another thing, and again, this is where the one size fits all proposition doesn't come in, but depending on what your relationship is with money and how your impulse is or what have you, I tell people to, once you pay off your credit card, close it.
Mhm.
but again, it's going to kind of depend on their situation. But most people, okay, I don't want to put like numbers on it, but most people who are in credit card debt, they just want to rely on that credit card. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so get rid of your cards, get an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is such a good idea. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
actually I had to switch bank accounts so that I could have a bank that I can go here in Vegas. And one of the things he did at the setup is he like, "Do you want to do like an automatic like savings?" And I was like, "That's such a great idea." So like anytime money like gets deposited in the account, 10% of it just automatically goes into savings. Just and I can
Super
always move it
smart.
back out if I want, but at least that's going in. He wanted me to do a dollar amount, and I was like, I'm going to do a percentage because then it's actually based on how large the amount is. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's operating on both my business account and my personal account because I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
I
Smart.
love
then
that.
yeah, yeah,
Smart. I love that a lot.
yeah, because
I'm
you can always
gonna
move it, but but then it's not in your
still.
face that you have that amount of money.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I
I
feel like
just wrote
all
that down,
yeah,
Ashlyn.
yeah,
I'm
to
gonna
just
go
set
do
it
that
up.
to
Just
check
set
out.
it up.
I
Yeah,
love
right.
that.
Absolutely.
I didn't know
Uh,
you could do it on percentages. I'm
uh-huh.
mind blown.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
I love
I think
that.
the default is dollar amounts, but I was like percentage
Okay.
just sounds so much better because you're
Because
taking the same
then
amount based on
exactly.
that. Um well, I feel like all of these are all kind of very similar, but my next one was like, what is the number one mindset shift you think business owners need to make about their money or their finances?
So that is a big one, and I know exactly the answer to that is make sure that you start your business, and as you're growing your business, do it without debt.
Mhm.
Um, because I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do to help fund your business. I mean, of course, it depends on what it is. Obviously, certain things, depending on what you're doing, you may not have a choice. I mean, not everybody's going to have $50,000 laying around to start a, I don't know, vending machine business or what have you. But especially with service-based businesses, there's no reason to go into debt when
Yeah.
you're building a service-based business, because there's not a lot of overhead, and you can work a part-time job while
Mhm.
growing a business. Now, grant I decided to take the leap and just quit my job, but I also did part-time work. I've done part-time work this whole time, door dashing. I was a part-time insurance agent for a little bit, just to keep that money coming in while you're building, so you don't have to go into debt.
Yeah.
That makes it so much nicer when you start getting those clients and getting that income and not having to give it right back to someone you borrowed money from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's such a great point too, because I do hear, especially right now, where things have been a little bit unstable because of like economic stuff and people, um, they're doing their business thing, but they're like, oh my gosh, I can't get clients, I can't get more money, and like there are so many different ways now to make money. Like if you have a car, you can totally DoorDash, like
Hmm.
during the afternoon, or doing like ride shares and stuff like that. And I think a lot of folks forget that you can do kind of these small things. Or I know for a really long time, I finally took myself off the list, but I would like test webs, like be like a user tester for websites. And it would
Yeah.
be like, you know, $10 per whatever, and it would take, 15 minutes to test things. But they're in our digital age, there are just so many different ways that you can kind of bring in income, while still kind of promoting and supporting your business without necessarily needing to like quit your business and go get a job job again. So,
Right.
and being
Yeah.
creative about that and having like the flexibility of working as well. So nobody except you is your boss, and I'm pretty sure you could let yourself go and do something for a couple of hours.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
And it gives you, just having that flexibility to actually go and do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can do things that will not stress you out and like keep your headspace free for your business, but
Right.
still make money. So I love that. That's a really good idea. Um, well, again, kind of similarly, and we talked a lot about having an emergency savings account, and I see like you posted about that quite a bit on social media as well. So I just want to know, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, and so maybe you could just talk about why. Um, would you recommend that, but not just people, but businesses have an emergency savings account, and why do you think that's super important?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think businesses should also have an emergency fund. Um, and people don't think about, I mean, yes, we have emergencies in our personal life, but you have emergencies in businesses too. For that purpose, maybe, I can't really think of a example in a service-based business at the moment, but say you're in an office, and you're doing business and you've got 10 clients today, and your internet goes out, or your dog knocks your computer over or whatever. You'd have that money sitting there to buy a new computer, or you know get somebody in to fix your wiring or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I've
had
got
to
a
do
real life
that.
example.
Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
was gonna say
say
you
what?
probably do too. Yeah.
I accidentally knocked a glass of water all over my like 4-month-old Mac and had to get a
Mm,
new laptop because we couldn't fix it. And then the Apple Store's quote for it was the price of a new computer. And so I didn't have a lot in my emergency fund at the time, and I basically pulled all of it and bought a brand new one.
yeah.
And I didn't have to put it on a credit card though. And I'm also still really mad that I did that. And I'm not allowed to have open drinks next
Containers
to
near
my
your
new
stuff.
laptop. Like right now, mine's sitting on top of a stand, which is the only reason why I'm allowed to have this. Otherwise, I have my water bottle with the lid on it. Um, yeah, we joked that I should be using my son's sippy cups when I drink from now on.
Yeah, I had something similar happen. My laptop went kaput like one morning. It was like after vacation too. It was really annoying.
Of
And so I
course.
had to go get a new I got a new desktop, and then I ended up saving again and then getting like a laptop. So they both have the same like guts inside of them. And so now I have like a backup. It's nice to have like a backup computer, and I'm already saving for the next one because my IT guy always is like, they're only supposed to last 4 years, and then you should plan, for a new one. And I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. I
Yeah.
will. I got 7 years out of my other one, so I was
Well,
happy about
yeah, and I was very lucky because I had an update on my computer that crashed it, like
that.
completely
Oh,
blue screen of death. I lost
gosh.
everything. And luckily I had a backup. There was this really good sale on one last Christmas, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get this. I'm going to use one as my personal and one as my business. And so
Hmm.
luckily I had that extra one laying around that I could use, but if I didn't have an emergency fund and I had to buy a new one, that would
Yeah,
have been terrible. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
There would be no options. Yeah, especially with for us where we do this on the computer all the time, it is
Right.
worth it to have that extra backup copy as
for
well.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, I have our last question that we're asking all of our guests so that we can put together a list for our listeners. But what is a piece of media content, be that like a song, a movie, a book, a podcast, that you're really obsessed with or really digging right now?
Yeah. So there is one that I discovered, and I think I haven't gotten to chance to listen for a couple months, but she's really inspiring, and it's Powerhouse Women.
Oh,
Hmm.
And
nice.
she's her story is, she's been in, like sales, and I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but it's Powerhouse Women. And she did the same thing. She decided to, start her own business and has grown it. And now she does not only the podcast, but she like does conferences every year. And it's just, she has inspirational guests on. And it's not always even just like for business. Like she's had somebody on talking about the female archetypes. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's not all business, it's also personal growth. And so, I really like when I'm door dashing, I really enjoy putting her on and listening as I'm driving around.
Love that.
Nice. I'll have to look into that. I've been looking for a new podcast. So
Mm-hmm. I know. We have to get ready for the winter CEO summer rebellion. Isn't it all about podcast
I think
listening?
so. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a friend who did a summer reading rebellion, and now for winter we're going to do podcast listening, which is going to be really exciting. So I'll have to add that to the list.
Yeah.
But that is the end of our questions and the end of what we wanted to ask. But is there anything that we didn't ask about that you would like to share, or where can folks find you to get in touch?
Yeah, so you can book at my website, GeminiFinancialWellness.com. You can log on there, and there's a link where you can schedule a meeting with me. And I'm always happy, obviously, to do what I call my Moxie Money Assessment. That's the session where I talk to people to determine if we're a good fit for each other. Or I'm also looking for current or former single mothers. I'd like to interview them just to talk to them about their journey, and find out, what they wish they had known, kind of like this podcast, what did you wish you had known? What did you do? So I'd love to be able to do that as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for being with us again. Listeners, we'll have all of Julie's links in the show notes. And as always, if you have any questions for us or our guests, you can always DM us at taketheleap-today on Instagram, or email us at aloha@taketheleap-today.com. And we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Take the Leap podcast. Check out our show notes to connect with us and our guests. If you have questions about the episode or ideas for future topics, send us a direct message on Instagram or email us at aloha@taketheleap-today.com. If you're interested in being a guest, fill out the guest interest form on our website.
If you're a new entrepreneur who is looking for a roadmap to move your business idea forward, check out the Take the Leap course on our website, taketheleap-today.com. Members who join the course also have an opportunity to join us in bi-weekly co-working and group coaching calls to build momentum and work on your business.
And if you'd like a flavor of what we offer, sign up for our free webinar with the 9 essential steps you need to launch your business with clarity and confidence. See you next time.